All right, so for this video, we're gonna step it up a little bit more complexity to converting the image. And I'm gonna show you how to convert, in this case, a recipe. So this was a photograph that was taken of the recipe. And if you've seen the previous videos, it's kind of the same thing. I'm gonna go into Photoshop in this particular case and start there. So I'm gonna go in and we're gonna create a new image. And go create new. It's going to be 12 by 12. I can use the 150. That's probably fine for what we're doing. Maybe bump it up to 300 pixels. Let's go ahead and do that. Just click create. There's a little bit more detail in that case. Now, then I'm going to drag and drop in this image. So I've got my JPEG and drop it in. Let's scale it up a little bit. The more, again, you have, the little bit better. So I'm going to click OK. So this is where it gets a little bit challenging. Let's undo that. I didn't get the whole flower in there, so drag that in again. And scale it up. And make sure we put and have the entire recipe. All right, so we got the whole recipe in there. Okay, and we'll click the checkbox up above. Now, usually the first thing we do is try to see what the histogram will do, or the threshold. So that's under Image, Adjustments, and Threshold. And that basically converts it to a black and white image. You can see that does a pretty good job. We can densify a little bit, kind of maybe get rid of some more. You want to be careful because you start to get the breaks and the gaps. So it all depends on what look your final output you're looking for, right? So I'm just going to kind of go with that right there, and I'm going to click OK. So now the next step is to kind of clean up and erase what you don't want and enhance what you do want. So this is probably the most time-consuming spot when you're getting into these. And I'm using a regular laptop with a mouse. It's a little bit more, a little bit harder to do this. I have a Surface tablet that I also use, which is where I would do most of this because I can use the stylus more like a pen and an eraser. So over on my toolbar over here, I have an eraser. So I usually go through and erase, use the eraser tool. And then up here, you can set the width, right? So your pixels will depend on how big your eraser is. So let's take a look at what we got. You can see here, you get this little kind of do not object. It's over here because you can see it's got some smart objects and stuff. So what we need to do is we need to rasterize that. So like we did before, I'm going to right click on this. We're going to click rasterize layer. And again, the same thing, I don't need the background. So I usually delete this background layer. That's the white. So as I start erasing, you can see one of the first things, as I start erasing, you'll see here, see how it kind of gives me that. So that shows you that that's deleting 10 pixels. So I can increase the size of it, and you can see now I can start erasing more. But one of the cool features of Photoshop is this magic wand. So with the magic wand, you can set the tolerance. So if I set the tolerance to 1 and I left click, it's going to pick up all the white, right? So there may be some grays, blended with the black. So I'm just going to hit the delete key, and it gets rid of all the white. And then you can see you can also come in here and delete these little pieces. So I'm just going to click on that, and we'll click on this, and these. So we basically work through here without all the inner parts. We're getting rid of those. And you don't want to do that, right? So again, I can use my Alt and my wheel, and that gets me close so I can see what I'm selecting. And I can do the same thing here. That one's going to be tough to do. Let's go ahead and get rid of that and get rid of these. So I'm just left clicking on all the white, getting rid of the white, and get rid of that white too. So those had gaps, that's fine. So again, we're just cleaning this up, right? All right, got rid of that. So let's zoom over here, a little bit more over here, and delete that. So now I can just go back to my eraser command and just, because I whenever you select an object, I'll come up here and go to select and deselect, so nothing's selected, so I can get rid of that. Okay. So then let's start at the top. Oop, I missed a couple there. Let's go back to the magic wand and delete that, delete that. Oops. A little ahead of myself there. So then we can come up here, and now what we can do is start to clean this up. So again, like I said, it depends on the level of, detail that you're looking for and how large you want this. So the next tool we'll look at is this pen tool. So with the pen tool, you can see this is your color. So I'm going to click on that swatch and it gives me an eyedropper, and it also brings up this dialog box. So I can set the color that I want, but with the eyedropper I can just pick the black. It sets that color black, and now I'm working on black and white. So now I can come in here and I can just start drawing in. Oop, I'm still selected. Deselect there, get rid of that. So now I can come in here and I can start really cleaning this up, right? So I can come in here and just clean up some of the image. I can also use this eraser. If I did a little bit too much and I want to get rid of it, I can come in here. So this is where, again, using the Alt key, I can zoom in and get that to be a little bit cleaner, right? And again, you can take out the rough edges, but if you were to use this and use it in a Cricut machine, it's going to be very pixelated because it's going to sit there and it's going to take forever to cut this. So we really want to get this into an SVG file. So I'm not going to sit here and spend all the time cleaning this up, but that's really what I'm doing. I'm just using the brush tool and the eraser tool to clean it up and get it to look the way I want. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to save this. We'll save it to our folder location here. Let's pick in here, or miscellaneous, and we'll just call it pancake. Let's call it R2. I'm going to save it, and it gives me a compatibility. Just click OK, that's fine. And again, now I can go back into my Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, and we're going to open up that Photoshop image we just saved. Right? Again, nice thing about working with both of these. And there's other applications that would do, you're doing the same thing in other applications depending on, what you may be using here. So, where did I save that? Let's just take this one here. So that's one that I've cleaned up already. And you can see that I've got it cleaned up the way that I want. So again, using the same thing under properties, image trace, this time black and white logo. We'll click OK and expand. And now we've got each one of those as a cutout for the Cricut machine or what other machine you may happen to be using. And this is where, again, I come in here and I'm just left clicking, dragging through all these white ones, and we're getting rid of all those white layers. All right, we just want to kind of scroll down. Each letter, basically each letter is its own vector line or line string. So now we've got that we can export out to an SVG. So again, going to File, Export, Export as SVG, and we can export out that recipe that then we can cut out on vinyl or fusible ink, whatever it is you're doing, whatever your project is gonna need this for. So that gives you a little bit of idea of how, using it very simple with just this lettering. Again, next step, I'll go a little bit more advanced with an actual photograph